Okay, so we're going to work on move number 12, which is really not one move, it's a whole routine. And it's the routine that we usually start with. Now, there's sort of two versions of this routine. There's the version that I learned with Master Zhang, which is kind of an abbreviated version. And then there's a longer version that we'll do in the future, maybe next term, because I'm going to have to do some research. It's the longer version does a lot of tapping. Right? So tapping is something that's actually a whole art in and of itself. So you have to know where the acupuncture points are that you want to tap. Right? So the Hagu point, the pulse, the arm 3 miles, the Jianjing up in the shoulders, etc., etc. So we're going to do an abbreviated version of it today, and if you've done the Sunday morning, you'll know this routine. But I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing as we do it. So the first exercise is to tap the two Hegu Hegu acupuncture points together. So the Hegu point is it's the English translation is the meeting of the valleys. So this is considered the valley here, and the Hegu point is right in the soft part. Right. This is a really if you get headaches once in a while, stimulate your Hegu point. Right? That's an old recipe from China. Anyway, you just knock them gently together, all right, like this. Just relax your fingers. All right, and then right on the spot where the doctor feels your pulse. Right? Now you want to use a cupped hand, so this is a version of cupping, right? And it's like you're pumping a little chi into that acupuncture point. And the other side. And then, here, I'll bare my arms here. Right? On the here's the center of my forearm, right? A little bit to the outside, there's an acupuncture point, and if you hit it just right, it'll make your fingers twitch, right? It's called arm 3 miles. There's another one in your leg called leg 3 miles. And the other side. Right? And then using your thumb, bring your thumb into your armpit. And you're going to massage up into the armpit until you hit the lymph glands up in there. So this is to stimulate the lymph system. And you may find your saliva suddenly starts to really run. That's good. On the other side. And then the Jianjiang acupuncture point is on the shoulder muscles, sort of halfway between the neck and the shoulder. Well, actually, a little closer to the neck. So you're using even just the tips of the fingers to stimulate those. So when we do the stick in the morning, we use the stick to stimulate those points. And we're not doing the Tai Chi the bong yet, but when you do the Tai Chi bong, you use the Tai Chi bong to stimulate those points. Okay, and then you're going to massage down the arm. So it's like you're doing just a light squeezing and then back up again. I like to flex my fingers while I'm doing that. It's just to get the blood flowing and the chi flowing through the arm 3 times. And on the other side. And then take the right hand, place the middle finger, the longest finger, on the longest finger on the left hand, and then bring the chi up the yin meridians of the arm, the inside soft part of the arm, to the shoulder, and then wash it out again. Turn your hand and wash it out. Bring it in, circle the shoulder, wash it out. Bring it in, wash it out. And breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Now, I like to do these where you alternate back and forth, and that's kind of the traditional way to do it anyway. Breathe in, breathe out. All right? All right, and then shake it out.
Just a question about the breathing when you do it alternating.
Yeah.
Are you just supposed to breathe quickly? So in, out, in, out?
No. The breathing techniques, Master Feng always said the same thing. Just breathe naturally. Don't think about your breathing techniques. You should be thinking about your chi, all right? The problem with trying to use a breathing technique is you try to fit your body to the technique instead of fitting the technique to the body, all right? Just relax and breathe naturally. However, if you can go a little higher with this, when you bring energy into the body, you breathe in. When you're pushing energy out from the body, you breathe out. It's very simple, all right? So breathe in, breathe out. However, when you're doing this exercise, it's very quick. It's very quick on both sides. If you try to breathe in that rhythm, you'll hyperventilate. So don't do that. All right? Just let your breathing happen naturally. All right? And then shake it out. Now, from here on the more advanced version of this that we'll do in the future, um, you essentially go over your whole body and tap a whole series of acupuncture points, probably 20 different points, right? And we've done the arms, you do the legs, you do the torso, you do the head, you do everything, right? And that's hold on just a second. All right. This, right, is a little bag. Annie made these up. We've got about a half dozen of them, right? And it's filled. I forget what kind of bean, but it's filled with some kind of bean. This is called a pida pad, P-A-I-D-A, which means a tapping pad. Makes you sound like you're a musician. All right, so essentially what you're doing is, what we're doing is an open-handed, that is, we don't have a pita pad, but we can get these, right? You do a pita routine over the whole body, and that's sort of incorporated in this routine if you've got plenty of time and you want to do it. I think pita's a really nice thing to do. It feels really good, and I think it's very good for you. Is very similar to something I do in the shower every morning. I have a long handled, fairly stiff brush, and I give myself a finished sauna treatment every morning before I come into class, right? I scrub my whole body with that pad. It really wakes you up. It really gets you into the present moment. This is another version of that. And we'll do this in the future. Okay, all right. So now rub your hands together. And this is kind of an abbreviated version of that. And then using open fists like this, not fists like this, but just open, right? Reach back and tap your kidneys. And then go down onto the sacrum. And out right behind, right behind the great trochanter. Get the butt muscles good. So Jill, why do you want to use open palms instead of fists when you beat your kidneys?
You don't want to hurt your kidneys.
Oh, exactly. Kidney function is really important in the Chinese system, is really, really important because 90% of our body or something like that is water or some version of water. So the kidneys are sort of in charge of that, those acupuncture points around the kidneys. So you want to be a little delicate when you do this. You don't want to be slugging yourself in the kidneys, right? You just open the palms and lightly tap. And of course, the open palms allows the energy to sort of escape. So you're just doing a very light tapping on the kidneys. It's just to stimulate them, not to beat them up. All right. And then down onto the tailbone on each side and out behind the great trochanter. Right, and then down the yang meridians of the legs. And then right above the ankles. and then stand up, and then the inside of the leg, the knees, and the lower groin, and the Dan Chin, solar plexus, Tan Zhong, and then sweep back and massage the tailbone. Now, we don't usually do this, but every once in a while I do because it's good. It's good for my back. Um, that exercise that we were just doing, just rubbing and massaging the tailbone and the butt muscles, um, they tend in our culture to get a little stiffened, a little bound up because we sit on our butt so much. You take I like to use a big thick rather than a small, for me personally, just because it's got a larger head on it, and just take the weight off the leg you're working on. So I'm going to put all my weight on the left leg, no weight on the right, and then massage those muscles. And the other side. Now, as you do this, you may hit some points that sort of make you twitch a little bit. That's probably an acupuncture point. Okay. And then massage down the leg, just like you did with the arm. You're actually massaging down the leg, especially on the outside, and as you come up on the inside, outside, inside, outside, inside. Okay, now we're going to do the face and the head. And taking the knuckles of the thumbs, all right, put them, there's an acupuncture point right on the bridge of the nose on either side. Just rub the bridge of the nose. And then up onto the forehead. And the way I like to do this is you're going to do this 3 times. So the first time we do this, I go way up to the hairline and then go all the way back behind my ears and really get, behind the ears and then down onto the top of the ears and out, all right, to the cheekbones. Get the cheekbones good. And then to the base of the nose. And then the top of the upper lip and around the lips, bottom of the lower lip, down onto the chin on either side. Get the jaw muscles good. See, my jaws are stiff from suppressing yelling at Trump. Open. And then splitting the fingers, not quite like Mr. Spock, but Mr. Spock, you split this way, all right? But we're splitting this way, and then rub on either side of the ear. Right?
If they want to do Spock,
yeah, you can do Spock if you want. And I usually crack my jaw a little bit gently. And then we're going to milk. There are lymph glands both behind the ear and in front of the ear. So what you're doing is gently stimulating the lymph glands here.
They're
And
not glands, they're nodes.
Nodes, all right. Well, everybody says glands. They're nodes, all right? Annie's yelling at me from the hall. They're not glands, they're nodes, she reminds me. All right. But, and then you're just going to gently drain them toward your heart. All right. All right. Alternate. Right on top, left on top. All right, same thing again. And now up onto the forehead, now into the middle of the forehead instead of up to the hairline. Again, go out all the way. Get the temples, massage the muscles in there. All the way back behind the ears. And then down onto the cheekbones and out. Sometimes I like to do a little paida on the sinuses and the cheekbones here, right? Very gently. And then the upper lip, lower lip, down and out. Get the jaw muscles again. Okay, now the second time, I'm also going to do my ears. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab my own earlobes and give them a couple of pinches. All right? Now you gently pull them, but it's also a pinching action. All right? And then up around the veins of the ears. I pull them out a little bit, just massage them. And now I'm going to take 2 fingers. And if you feel in your ear, you can feel your ear canal. You don't want to do this in the ear, into the ear canal because the change in pressure can hurt you. Instead, you go up into the valley up above there. I'm not remembering the name right now, right? Not the ear, but up above on both sides. And then just circle that. Circle those little valleys. Good. All right. And then again. And same thing again. Third time. And up onto the forehead. And now I go just right above the eyebrows. And get the temples good. Okay, and then this third time we're gonna do the whole head. So you take both the flats of the palms and back around the neck and the back of the head and just massage. All right, and the same thing on the face. And run your fingers through your hair, scratch your head. And then wash it out. We should have done these two. And relax. Now, without putting your hands on your body, right, but about 4 to 6 inches off your body, right, massage the organs. Right. Your chi should follow your hands, or your hands should be following your chi. Right. Up into the chest, up into the tangent. And now relax down into the lower back. Center chest, lower back. Center chest, lower back. So this is particularly true for these exercises, but it's always true. When I say center chest or lower back, I'm really talking about the whole chest. Center chest is just a milestone. It's just a way of saying, okay, come up into your chest. All right. Is it centered on this? Well, yeah, this is an important acupuncture point. So in a certain way it is, but in fact, it's not like a single line coming up here. It's a flood of energy that comes up. Same thing with your Ming Mun in the back. Do you really mean the Ming Mun? Well, yeah, in a way you do, but in another way, it's that whole flood that goes down to the lower back, right? Chest, back, chest, back, chest, back, and reverse. Chest, back, chest, lower back. Personally, I always find these exercises really powerful. I can really feel this. All right. I think I've told you guys this story before, but I'm going to tell you again. There's a great story about, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's kind of semi-famous because he's written a couple of books. So this is a gentleman who I think was in his mid-40s or closing on 50 when this incident I'm going to tell you about happened. He's a high-functioning autistic. Been autistic ever since he was a little kid, but he's very smart and he's very high-functioning. And when he was in high school, he really got into fixing up cars, and that went on and became what he did for a living. But he wasn't just fixing up cars in his garage anymore. He became probably the largest and sort of most famous shop on the East Coast for fixing up really fancy cars, really expensive foreign cars. But being autistic, he said, I had no common way of communicating with people. I mean, he had no problem talking with them. But he said, I could not understand what other people were feeling. I had no way of reading their bodies, reading their body language, reading their intonations. I didn't connect with people. So people, in his business, he talks with lots and lots of people. And they would tell him stories and he would go, yeah, okay, right, and let's go on about the car. So, some tragic story he's being told, he said, I didn't connect with it emotionally. So so there's the setting. And because he was high functioning autistic, he was requested, I think this was MIT, he was requested to participate in a research program about high functioning autistic people. So, okay, yeah, he was willing to do that. And what they did was use some kind of MRI that would go back and forth over his head and read his brain waves with a tiny little electric current. I mean, it's like one millionth of a volt or something like that, right? And he said, when that happened, something happened in his brain.
Well, they actually were. They were actually tracking because they had nodes all over his skull.
Right.
But what they were doing was they had a little handheld electrical that had an electrical impulse, and when they got to this part of his brain, that's when everything lit up. But they were just using really, really low.
They were not trying to do any kind of intervention or any
No.
kind of treatment. All they were doing was trying to read his brain waves
Let's see what was happening.
and see what was happening in his brain. And so to do that, they were using some kind of electrical equipment
Yeah.
that had a tiny, tiny, minor amount of electricity, because they're not trying to do anything to the guy. But he said something happened when they went, they didn't even touch his brain or anything. They were just, waving this thing around over his head. And he said, um, something happened in his brain, and suddenly he could understand what other people were doing and feeling. He could read their body language. He could read the intonation of their voices, and he had not done that for 50 years. And he said, I didn't know how to handle it, because now when I would talk to people, I was suddenly acutely aware of their emotional, and he got totally overwhelmed. He couldn't talk to people.
Well, then he called. He went home. Later he called the MIT guys, and he goes, "This is happening," and they're going, "Oh, it's fine. It'll
go
wear
away.
Off. Don't worry." It never
wore off. It was a permanent change in his body. The point of this long, shaggy dog story is,
you have
you are creating electrical currents in your body when you do this. You can feel it, all right? And it may seem like a tiny little thing, but it may be bigger than it looks. All right? What happened with this guy? Something got stimulated in him, and connections got made that had just never gotten made before in his brain development. And suddenly a door opened, and he was able to participate in life in a way that he had never been able to do before. Jill.
Did he figure out how to not be overwhelmed by it?
Oh yeah, eventually. But at first it was like, it was just overwhelming to him. He said the reason it was overwhelming is I was feeling what they were feeling. He was suddenly empathetic where he had never been empathetic before. And he traced it exactly back to this thing. He said, life was one, and then they did this, and then boom, it happened. And like Annie said, he actually called them and said, guys, this has happened, and and they were going, oh, no, it's got nothing to do with it. It'll just go away, whatever it is, right? And no, it never went away. So it took him a long time to learn how to interact with people, and
he removed the filter.
Yeah, exactly. He removed a filter. Still feel what they were feeling, but be able to do. What he would say is, someone would come in with their car, and their car was banged up, and they wanted their car fixed because they had been in an accident, and so they would be a little upset by this. And he said, I couldn't stand there and talk to them. I would get too upset. I was so upset about them being upset. And he said, I'd never been that way before. I just had not felt what they were feeling. And now suddenly it did, and it was overwhelming. He couldn't take it. Yes, but he did. He did gradually train himself.
Yeah, it's basically, because I remember as a child, I couldn't watch like TV programs because they would make me so upset.
Well, as well, they should make you so upset. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just the smallest things would set me off, and so
absolutely.
So basically, he was like a little baby.
He had no calluses on his fingers, so he was feeling everything very, very intensely, and he had to develop a thicker skin to be able to. But it's a really interesting story, and I tell you that because when we're doing these shiatsu things, don't think the fact that you're not touching your body. Don't think that nothing's happening, because something is happening.
Don't think that your words are not falling on the drum of my
Yeah, what is that quote, honey?
Yeah, we should.
And Annie was just reminding me of one of my favorite quotes. This is from Michael Meade, and I think it's from Africa. Uh, the words from your mouth are beating on the drums of my ears, so don't think this isn't personal. The words from your mouth are beating on the drums of my ears, so don't think this isn't personal. And reverse. Personally, I would suggest you don't go too close to your head. All right? Give it 8 or 10 inches. Up the center and then out the jawline. And reverse. And then right down the red meridian. From the top of the head all the way down to the base of the spine. And then lace the fingers together. Reach right through the physical body and clean out the dew meridian on the back. Same thing, top of the head, base of the spine. Again, center chest, lower back. Make sure, watch my head. You do not want to do this. This is true in Qigong and in Tai Chi. When you lower, when you go from center chest to the back, right, the Mingmen acupuncture point, you actually go up. Your physical body goes up, the weight goes down. Okay, so that's the routine, and that took our entire hour here doing this. So if you, and that wasn't the whole routine, so you could probably add another 15 minutes on for the PITA, for the acupuncture. So the truth is, unless you're willing to take 2 hours, unless you've got 2 hours to do this routine, you can't do the whole thing. So you have to pick and choose, which is absolutely fine. You do not have to do the whole routine all the time. You can pick and choose sections of it. You can combine it with other things. So for instance, on Sunday morning, we often do an exercise like this. That's a gathering exercise, but you notice that it wasn't in this routine. It's from a different routine. Right? It's from a routine called Big Strength Qigong. Right? And it's a winter routine. But a lot of the, what it's marked by is grabbing chi in your fists and bringing it in. So there's like, there's a little more heat involved with it. But I like a lot of the exercises. So what we usually do on Sunday morning is a combination of different routines. And it's perfectly fine to do that.
Especially on the spring equinox.
Yeah, Annie reminds me it's the spring equinox, so it's absolutely fine to mix your routines here. The different routines have different colors, different temperatures. When it's cold, you do a hot routine. When it's hot, you do a cool routine. It's just a way of keeping things kind of balanced out, and it's perfectly fine to mix them any way you want. Right? I was going to say one other thing here. When we're doing the stick form, this is going down, which means the top of your head needs to go up. Right? Don't do this. Right? That's collapsing. Instead, right, you go up. Because you're pushing down, and if you're going to push down, something's got to go up. So think of the top of your head going up, and that gives this movement some strength. Okay, any questions?
I had one on this when you're lacing to
Yeah.
go to the Dumai. Are you touching yourself or no, your chest?
I end up touching myself all the time, but
Okay.
technically you're probably not supposed to. Right? You just go through.
Okay.
But I always end up. So I think I don't think it really matters, but the reason they don't want you touching yourself is to get out of the habit of thinking of this as physical. It's maybe quasi-physical, but it's really energetic. It's about using your chi. Remember Grandmaster Fung's definition of chi. It's partly bioelectric, it's partly magnetic, and it's partly a whole bunch of other things that we don't really understand. All right? So it's not quite physical. It's not quite physical. It's sort of quasi-physical. All right? Okay, guys, have yourselves a great day. We'll practice the whole routine tomorrow. Ciao.